Really nice. I came in here a bunch of times during the process when they were building the school. Didn't look like this. A couple different things. It lacked all the kids, which is what makes it fun and vibrant. You know? You go ahead, throw out some ideas.
Well, we wrote a whole list of questions.
Oh, good. Lots of people, that's for sure. Lots of people. So lots of people work for the town. Over 500 people work for the town of Ledger, and that's just Ledger. That's a pretty small town. So you can imagine what a city would be like. So we have about 500 people that we have to manage, and that's not just me. Fortunately, what it means for me is, think of it as school teachers. I have a whole bunch of other school teachers that come to me, and then other people go to those school teachers. So it would be like students going to the school teacher, and then the school teacher comes to me. And so we have a lot of people to manage and make sure jobs get done. Because lots of times it can be daily stuff, like whether it's educational stuff or roads and things like that. But then there's also things like when storms come, and winter storms and things like that we have to be prepared for. So I don't know how much you wanted me to do in the way of speaking, or do you want to go into questions and then I'll speak more? It's up to you.
Yeah, well, I guess we could have the students ask us their student-generated questions.
Oh, great! I like those.
Came up with a list between the two classes.
Okay.
So why don't we go through those, and then if there's anything else that you feel we should address, or that the kids any other questions that aren't up there, then we can go from there.
What's it like? Well, sometimes it's fun. Lots of times it's fun. It's an interesting situation because what you get to do, you get to make a lot of decisions. And if you like to make decisions, if you are like, I don't know, then that's probably not a good job for you. But if you can make decisions, it's a good job. Sometimes it's a challenge because like when winter storms come, and like in last October, I don't know if you remember this, but last October we had a bad storm and we didn't have power for about a week. And it got super windy in the middle of that night. And at 2 o'clock in the morning, I started my work day. And my work day ended that day at midnight. So it was a really long day, but that's what you have to do. Because people have to still be able to move around. We got to make sure that trees get out of the roads so that if it were school buses, that school buses could pass, or moms and dads can get to work. Emergency services can come through. If somebody gets hurt and we need an ambulance, we got to make sure the ambulance can get there. So that's why it's fun. I like being the mayor. It's a good job.
Why do you want to be the mayor?
Why do I want to be the mayor? Well, Ledyard is very important to me. My family has actually been in Ledyard since the 1600s. So we've been here a very long time. I know I don't look that old. I'm showing it well. I'm just kidding. But my family has been here for a very long time. And so I view Ledyard as being my hometown, just like you guys see Ledyard as your hometown. So I think it's important. I think it's important that we have a leader that thinks highly of our town and thinks that Ledyard is a great place. And Ledyard really is a great place. And you know what's really interesting too? Sometimes we'll have people that will move out of Ledyard and then they call me and they say, I still wish I was in Ledyard. And that's a good feeling too. So that kind of goes back to question number one, because that's what's it like to be a mayor? It feels good when people say that. So that's part of it too. Oh, favorite part. So this one's a tough one, but I like numbers. So it's for us, it's the budget season, which is it's a very busy time of year. And what happens is we have to spend about $54 million a year to be able to keep the town running and the schools going and everybody here and getting their excellent educations. So starting this month, actually, we've already started working on our budget, which is kind of like when mom and dad work on, how much money they make and how much can they afford to spend on groceries and utilities and cars. We're doing the same thing. So we have to look at saying, do we need new trucks for plowing snow this year? Or do we need a new excavator or backhoes or roofs on schools? All sorts of different things. And we have to put that all together in a really big budget. It's a book like that thick. And it just shows you everything that you spend, so we know that we know what we can spend and we know what we can't afford to spend right now. So maybe it's kind of on a wish list.
Yep.
You have a wish list too? Yeah, exactly. Go ahead.
What businesses are you trying to bring to Ledger?
What businesses are we trying to bring to Ledger? Ooh, well, I just got off the phone with one. I'm really looking forward to her opening. It's a company called Zest, and that is a bakery. So they're in Stonington, and she's opening up right next to Holdridge's in Ledyard Center. So I can walk next door to have one of my favorite savory scones. So I'm looking forward to that. That's going to open up real soon. Scones, no? Oh, scones, yes. Yes. I think I have to walk and walk and walk after I eat the scone, but that's okay. But so that's one of them. Ledyard, we actually have another one coming, which is going to be an indoor pool and tennis courts. Yeah.
I heard that we're getting a new
Yes. Yep. And so they're actually in the process. There was a whole, as Ledyard is, what do we all see out on the ground a lot in Ledyard? They're big. Sometimes they're really big, hard rocks. Rocks are everywhere in our town. And so when they started clearing the site for the indoor pool, they found lots and lots of rocks. And so they have to crush up the rocks so they can get rid of them. But the pool project is coming along nicely, and that'll be a really good business to have in town too, because guess what? Our Ledyard high school swim team will actually be able to swim in town. So that's a good thing. So, and then there's a whole bunch of other businesses we continue to work on. We continue to tell them that Ledyard's a great place to be. We have a good number of people that will use them. We just had a new coffee and bake shop open up down at Gales Ferry. So that's good, and we have to keep it going. You want to do the list questions, then we'll do those?
We'll do our whole list first before we have other questions.
Okay, so we'll do the list
Yeah,
questions, and then I'll come around and try to catch everybody, okay? So the normal term for the mayor is 4 years. Mine was kind of different, because what happened for me was the mayor before me took another job. So when he took another job, he left, and then I had to come in and finish his part of the job. So I'm now finishing that part, and then because the mayor's job is elected, so your moms and dads go out and vote to say, I want Mr. Brown to be the mayor again, or I don't, and that's their choice. But that's next November, so I have 1 more year, and then it would be back to 4 years. Does that seem like a long time? It is in kid years. In adult years, it's like that. It goes quick.
Why do you cut red ribbons?
Why do I cut red ribbons? Oh, I know. So different things. Like there was a scout project where the kids went in and they cut a new walking trail for everybody to use and enjoy. And when they did that, they wanted to do what's called a ribbon cutting ceremony. And so they pull this big, long red ribbon across there, and then they bring out these super big, usually like gold-colored scissors, and we cut the ribbon so that it kind of says, come on into our new trail. They also do that for businesses.
None of it.
Excuse me. So I'll get to you, don't worry. So, like there's an ice cream shop down in Gales Ferry that opened up, and they said, would you come down and please cut the ribbon for us? And that's kind of like saying, we're open. Oh, let's see. Well, I'm gonna be 48 right before Christmas, so that would have made me 46 and a half. How's that? I still count in half years too, just like you guys.
What
Like
was the last
7 3/4.
What was the last parade you participated
Oh, I almost always march in the Memorial Day parade. And I said almost always because one year I broke my foot and I said, can't do it, I'm not going on crutches. But this past May, I did make it. So we got to march in the parade and it's always fun. Hopefully the weather's good and we have a good time.
How do you hire the police officer?
Ah, okay. So we have a chief of police. So he's kind of like, in the police station, he's like my job. He's like the mayor of the police. And he reports to me too. And so when they say, we have policemen that are retiring, or maybe they're older and so they're gonna retire, we have to replace them, right? So we have enough police officers to cover the town. And so at that point, what they do is they kind of put out a request and say, we're hiring for police officers. Would anybody be interested in working in the town of Ledyard as a policeman? The last time we did that, guess how many people said, we want to be a police officer in Ledyard? 88. So apparently a lot of people thought Ledyard was a pretty good place to be a policeman or a policewoman, right? So we're going to have to do that again because we have a couple more police officers that are retiring.
What is the hardest part of being the mayor?
The hardest part is probably delivering the bad news. It's never fun to deliver bad news, right? That's like coming home and taking out your report card for mom and dad and saying, I got a D or a C.
What F?
Or an F. That's the one I didn't want to even have to say. But that's part of it, is when sometimes it's not all good news, but we have to deliver the news no matter what, right? Whether it's good news or bad news, we got to be ready to deal with it, and so it's not always fun, because I actually have a group of bosses that I report to on Wednesday nights. You know what they're called? The town council. So there's a group of people that are also elected, and they're called town councilors. And I basically do everything during the week, and on Wednesday nights, they get together and they say, okay, Mayor, how are we doing on this, and how are we doing on that? And that's when I have to deliver good news, bad news kind of stuff. So the bad news is probably the hardest part.
How long have you been mayor?
Well, let's see, going back to when the prior mayor left, I have been mayor now since May 1st of 2017. So it's only been, what, a year and 3 months? Year and 4 months? Yep. That's it. But I learned a lot, and it helped too because I was one of those bosses on Wednesday night before. So I was a town councilor before, so I kind of knew what to expect, which was good. But as it always goes, as much as you might think you know, you'll learn a little bit more when you actually get in the job, right? It's kind of like when you start second grade. You probably knew what you were going to expect, and then there was a little more. But that's all right too. So I know you had a question, and you've been waiting to ask, so let's go.
Do you pay taxes?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I pay lots of taxes, and guess what? Sometimes people will say, well, you probably don't have to pay taxes, or maybe you don't have to get a building permit or something for a shed. And I said, oh, I definitely have to pay taxes, and I definitely have to get the building permit for the shed. Yeah, we can't overlook our rules, especially for us. Go ahead.
Do you doctors and nurses?
Do I do what to doctors and nurses?
You walk.
Oh, do I work for them? Well, I actually have some that work for me. Did you know that? So the school nurses,
Say that.
the school nurses work in the town, so they work for the town. And then we also have a nursing department in the town hall, and they go out and work in the community too. So if somebody, let's say somebody's at home and they're recovering from surgery, that nurse will actually come to your house and help care for you. So yeah, we, in a way, we do have doctors and nurses that work for us. Go
What's
ahead.
your favorite food?
Oh, I am a sucker for pizza. I love pizza. And you know what? You can make breakfast pizza, lunch pizza, dinner pizza, and then guess what? The dinner pizza warmed up again, it's breakfast pizza.
Hot pizza?
Hot pizza, cold pizza, you name it. Did you have a question? See, so she might use one of those nurses too, right? How about this young man with the wrestling shirt?
Like coach the football coaches because me and one of my friends play football.
Oh, no, you know what? So the football coaching is part of the Board of Education. And so basically, the town government is two sections. There's the Board of Education, and then there's the town government side. And so I do that side, and the superintendent and the different schools cover all the coaching, unless it's youth league.
Yes.
So if it's youth league, that falls under Parks and Recreation, which is part of what I cover. Young man.
Aren't there like lots of already indoor pools like Rockfield and
Right, Foxwoods has one, that's the closest one to us. And then prior to that, the one that they had to use was at Avery Point, the Yukon one, down at Avery Point in Groton. But there actually aren't many, and there aren't many available for residents. So, and it's so people can do like swimming aerobics and all sorts of different things. So the owners of that business think it's going to be a really good thing. Did you have a question?
Did you make the jobs of this world?
Did I make the jobs of this world? Thankfully not. That would be a lot of work. And that would be a lot of time, and 24 hours in a day just aren't enough. Now, good news is, a lot of the different jobs are made because there's a need. So if people have a need for something, like nurses was a great example before. If people have health problems, then there's a need for nurses. And so that's a new job, which would be nursing, which is what we've done over time. How about this young man?
Do you capture bad guys too?
The policemen do. The policemen do. I don't have to. Thankfully, what happens is when the policemen do, the chief of police calls me and said, we got some bad guys, or we got some drugs or something bad. And so he lets me know what's going on so we can see that stuff doesn't happen in town as much, which is really good.
I'm born on Memorial Day.
You are? So you have to march in the parade, right? It's like your birthday and a Memorial Day parade all in one. That's perfect. You could march and eat cake and ice cream at the same time. I'm going to go with this young lady at the back first.
My birthday's actually on May 4th.
Oh, May 4th. Let's see, that's a day after my wife's birthday. That's a good day. Right here, go ahead.
My birthday is before Christmas.
Ah, just like mine.
All right,
Any
no
questions
more
about
birthday.
birthdays?
Yeah, birthday comments. Sorry.
How about you, young man? We do not build the buildings. We don't really know how to build buildings. So what we have to do is we have to leave that to the people that do know. So we hire construction companies, like when they're building this school, we hire construction companies that have experience to do that. They put a lot of time and effort in, and it's the experience that matters so that it comes out good. So when you come in here, or on Thursday when it's 88 degrees and the air conditioning's blowing in here, you can thank them for that. No, that's a great question. All towns, so there's, you know how many towns are in the state of Connecticut? 169 towns. So, and each one has a choice. You can either be a mayor, or a town manager, or a first selectman. Those are basically the three different, and they all do the same job. The difference is, I'm elected, but a town manager, they're just hired. So they just hire that person to come in and do the job. But those are basically the three different types of leaders that you have in the different towns in the state. Let's see, how about somebody that hasn't asked a question right there? Go ahead. My favorite animal, I would say dogs. I love dogs. We have 2 dogs. I love them. They're great. I'm not a real big fan of cats, but you know, sometimes that's how it is. People are like cats, or like dogs. I'm dogs. I'll come back to you and then over here. Go ahead. Does who? Oh, is it a company?
As in the submarine, the Toledo?
Oh, okay. That's the federal government. So we're just this much, okay? He's a chief on the USS Toledo? Oh, good for him. Actually, you know, there's a lot of Navy people that live in Ledyard, right? There's lots and lots of Navy people that live in Ledyard and Hales Ferry. So we're kind of lucky that we have the Navy base here, because you're here and we get your dad here, and your mom and dad might do great things in town and help out and all sorts of fun stuff. How about you, young lady?
My dad's stuff and my mother's stuff.
They took your mom and dad's stuff?
Yeah, somebody took them, we couldn't find them.
Oh, they took their stuff?
No,
Oh.
no, somebody took them and we couldn't find them.
Oh, so they'd have to, so would that be the police to have to try to find them?
No, we didn't call them and we did that. And I told Andre and he came called the police and said no.
Oh, but you offered that. You said that'd probably be a good idea. Should we call the police, right? That was a good suggestion on your part. How about you again?
I have a dog that's a border collie.
A border collie. That's a nice dog too. They're smart dogs.
And she's also 14.
Oh, getting up there, right, in dog years? How about you?
Do you pay your electricity bills?
Oh, yeah. If I don't pay my bills in general, not good.
Also, do you like corn dogs with syrup?
Do I like what?
Corn dogs with syrup.
Corn dogs with syrup? I thought that was kind of a ketchup and mustard thing, right?
Yeah. You can also have it with syrup. It tastes good with the one on top of the hot dog.
Maybe if you replace the hot dog with sausage in the middle, then I could go for that.
But also they make like this kind of corn dog. It's like a French toast corn dog.
Oh,
But you can add syrup.
I could see that working. All right, how about you, young man? Do I watch movies? Oh, no. Movies? Oh, my goodness. That's a whole different business. But we actually had somebody making, not a movie, but a show in Gales Ferry last week. Yeah, so a movie production company contacted us and said, could we use that old house and that old red barn to film? So we said, sure. So it's going to be on TV in the spring. Go ahead. You're going to do a play? Plays are cool. And that's really awesome when you get up on stage in front of everybody and do that. That's a really great learning experience. Good for you. Brand new question right here. My favorite dessert? I'm going to say cheesecake. Yep, I love cheesecake. But as I get older, I have to eat less and less of it. Because then it loves me forever. So,
We'll do one more question.
okay,
All right.
one last. That's a brand new question in the back. Let's go with it. My favorite number, I'm gonna say 4. I don't really know why. Maybe it's because my kids wear number 4 when they play basketball and softball, but
Oh, football?
that's probably they never played football. That's probably what's the,
I'm older.
oh, are
My
you?
sister